On this week's episode of the Nerf Report, Nintendo faces a brand new round of backlash, this time surrounding the new virtual game card update. Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed, so we discuss the brand new release date and how this could potentially impact the video game industry. Borderlands 4 showed off a bunch of brand new gameplay, giving us an extended look at the biggest Borderlands game ever. We also have to talk about this week's game of the week, Forza Horizon 5. All of this and a whole bunch of nonsense on this jam-packed episode of the Nerf Report.
Are you listening?
Welcome, strangers from distant lands and friends of old. You've been summoned for another episode of the Nerf Report. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me another weekend, letting me float into your ear canals while you're playing video games, maybe playing Call of Duty. The brand new Seth Rogen skins just dropped. Maybe you're playing Forza Horizon 5 on the PlayStation 5, or who knows, maybe you're playing something else. Let us know in the comment section what you're playing. Big week for the show. We got a lot to talk about here. We're obviously going to be diving straight into the new Borderlands news that came out this week. The game looks incredible. I'm so excited to talk about that. GTA 6 was delayed, which I kind of feel like a little embarrassed because this entire year we've been saying 2025, the year of our Lord Grand Theft Auto 6. Can no longer say that. Now we got to say 2026, the year of our Lord Grand Theft Auto 6, but we will dive into that later in the show. Nintendo is getting a whole bunch of backlash from gamers who don't want to buy more than one copy of a video game. Understandable, but we will obviously dive into that as well at the end of the show. And then the other thing we're not going to be talking about a whole lot, but I think it's definitely worth noting, price increases. Everybody has price increases. Xbox just announced a whole bunch of new price increases coming across the board. That came out right before we jumped into the studio. But yeah, we have a great show lined up for you this week. And a special shout out to all of you listening to the show on Apple and Spotify podcasts. I know on YouTube we kind of get the show out first, but then the show kind of trickles out onto the audio formats. Thank you for hanging out with us over there. Thank you for letting us kind of tickle your earbuds as you're playing video games. But big week for me, big week for the show, for a lot of news to talk about, but we also had a ton of video games launched this week. So let's talk about the video games that came out this week, the week of April 28th. Now, we got a big issue in the world of gaming that's starting to become very apparent. Ever since we started to do this like little showcase of talking about like games that came out this week, it's becoming extremely clear that video games just do not come out on Monday, which I feel like the case of Mondays, everybody's got them, and gaming is the best solution. So what I'm saying right now is to the developers that might be listening to this, maybe you're working on your game while this is playing in the background, release your game on Monday. We need more video games on Mondays. Mondays suck. You know what would make them better? More video games. But anyway, Monday, April 28th, nothing came out. Tuesday, April 29th, Forza Horizon 5 launched for the PlayStation 5. This is obviously our game of the week. We'll be talking about this more in the next segment, but this is a game that launched in 2021. It's now available for the PlayStation console. Big game for PlayStation. Wednesday, April 30th, we got a game called Star Vaders. We also got another video game called Skin Deep. MotoGP 25 might be the biggest game of this day. Like if it wasn't for Forza Horizon 5 launching on Tuesday, MotoGP definitely would be our game of the week. It's another racing game. This is motorcycles. Really cool game. Definitely worth checking out. Moroi, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, that launched on Wednesday as well, and then the day was rounded off with a game called Kiborg. Again, a lot of indie games launching. Thursday, May 1st, we got a game called Shotgun Cop Man. Might be the greatest title for a video game ever created. And then the week was closed out with Despelote? Despelote came out on Thursday, May 1st, closing out our week. No games launched on Friday. Sad week for all of us. Anyway, those are the games that launched this week. As always, sound off in the comment section letting us know what you played this week. Did you check out any of these games? Which ones are we missing? Which ones should we check out? Please let us know in the comment section down below. And as we mentioned, our game of the week is Forza Horizon 5, and it is time to talk about it because this week's game of the week is Forza Horizon 5, which now is available for the PlayStation 5. Shout out. I feel like we need a round of applause for this one, fans. The gaming console wars are over, and games are becoming more fluid. Consoles are getting games from everywhere around the world, and I think we should celebrate this, because originally, this game launched in 2021 for Xbox and PC. And as far as racing games go, I know this is going to upset a lot of the Gran Turismo fans out there, but I feel like you deserve it. Forza is one of the most premier racing video games in the industry. And the fact that it's now available on PlayStation 5 is a big, big get for the Sony fans. And a good, look, console wars aside, we need more of this. We need more PlayStation games going over to Xbox, or Nintendo games going over to PlayStation, or Xbox sending more games to PlayStation. I mean, I've said it before, but I feel like we should treat this like the NFL draft, right? Each platform gets their picks. We do like a super fancy night. Hell, call Jeff Keighley up, because God knows he doesn't have enough going on in his life right now. And he'll come out and he'll be like, the first pick of the 2026 video game draft, Xbox chooses Ghost of Tsushima. And then PlayStation, they can't fight it. It has to go to their platform. And then PlayStation comes up. Second pick of the 2026 Halo Master Chief Collection is now on PlayStation. Boom, it's available. Like, we already know that these deals are happening behind the scenes, but I feel like this would be such a fun night for the world of gaming. And like, everybody would be like, oh man, Ghost of Tsushima, it's coming to Xbox. We now know it's happening, and we're going to have to wait 2 years, but it's coming. But anyway, that's my theory. I don't know if we'll ever see it happen, but I think it would be super dope for the gaming industry. As far as Forza Horizon 5 goes, let's talk about what the critics are saying. Right now, the game has a 92 on Metacritic for the PlayStation 5 version, which I know there's people out there being like, well, what did it get on Xbox? You got a 92 on Xbox, so it's staying across the board. But anyway, that is obviously the Metacritic score. I know that's a skewed score for a lot of people, so let's dive into the actual reviews and see what the gamers are saying. Gaming Bolt gave Forza Horizon 5 on the PlayStation 5 a 100. PlayStation Lifestyles gave the game a 100. The Gamer gave it a 90. Push Square gave the game a 80. PlayStation Universe gave the game an 85. And Player 2, not to be confused by Player 1, Player 3, or Player 4, Player 2 gave Forza Horizon 5 on the PlayStation 5 a 100 out of 100, which is good. I mean, this game, it's killer. If you haven't played it before, what makes this game so special is that Forza Horizon 5 takes place across an open world Mexico. And when I mean open world, I mean like, this is truly open world. You can go from coast to coast. You can go over mountains. You can go over hills. The landscape is always changing. And as you're going throughout the place, you've got like time trials. There's different races and challenges. It's a really cool, well done racing game. And the landscape variants are never boring in this game. You know, you've got like deserts, you got jungles, you got beaches, you got mountains. There's like small little towns. There's farmlands. And there's even like user created places where you can go race. And all of this is done while racing with your friends. It's a fantastic racing game that's definitely worth checking out. And look, it's a racing game, so obviously we got to take a little bit of time to talk about the car. You know, Mario Kart came out and they're like, we got all these new characters. Forza Horizon 5, 900 cars to choose from. Yeah, 900 cars in Forza Horizon 5. And I was doing the math. If you raced on Forza Horizon 5 every day for the next year, it would take you, I'm not good at math, I'm going to just say 3.5 years to use every single car in Forza Horizon 5. Don't quote me on it, but that's what we're going with. But look, I think it would be a disservice to talk about this game and not talk about the community, because I think that where this game shines is definitely within the community itself. You know, you got community created races and tracks that are almost as good as what the developers put out there. And there's also like this ghost feature in the game where you'll be like driving through the hills of Mexico and you'll see another car pass and it's got a name over it. And you're like, that's my buddy Jason. But Jason, he's working right now. He's not racing. Who's this? And so like, if your friends have played this game, Forza Horizon 5 like emulates them and they like evolve their patterns and they'll be like, oh yeah, here's your friend. This is what they did. And you'll see like their ghosts, which is super trippy to think about, because we're going to get to a place in gaming that when I die, like 100 years from now, my car or my ghost car will still be racing in Forza Horizon 5 for years to come. Like there are probably people who have died and their ghosts are in Forza Horizon 5, which is just scary. Yeah, that's wild, man. Like, that's such a cool concept to think about. And who knows, maybe once this podcast dies and I pass away, someone will be racing in Forza Horizon 5 and showing their grandkids and like, back in my day, this was the best racing game. Before you had your helmets and your driving simulators, we played this game. And then all of a sudden I'm going to pull up on the side of them, my ghost car is just going to come right next to him like Paul Walker, and you're just going to hear the song and be like, it's been a long day without you, my friend. And that gamer, in that moment, knowing that I'm gone, knowing that my show is gone, is going to see that ghost car of mine, and a tear is going to well up in their eye. And their kid's going to be like, Grandpa, why you crying? Grandpa, why you so sad? So you wouldn't understand. There was a great man. I'm just kidding. None of that's ever going to happen because the servers will probably get shut down before any of that can happen. But anyway, if you are a fan of racing video games and haven't picked up this game in the last 4 years that it's been out, I highly recommend that you pick out Forza Horizon 5. We're not getting paid by PlayStation. I wish we were. We're definitely not getting paid by any of the game developers to say what the game of the week is. It'd be super cool if they wanted to, or at least give us some free game codes to give out to you guys who are watching. But anyway, Forza Horizon 5, it is this week's game of the week, and it is now available for the PlayStation 5, so definitely check that out. And from one game of the week to a future game of the week, when it decides to grace us with its presence, we have to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6, because Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed. And the wait for Grand Theft Auto 6 is just going to get longer and longer, as Rockstar just announced that the game's launch date has been delayed until May 26th of 2026. Yeah, let's pull up their statement. Yeah, this was posted on social media, and it is giving me major Cyberpunk 2077 flashbacks to when, like, we got a release date, we're all excited, and we're getting close, and then we get a notice. It's like, hey, the game's been delayed. And then we're waiting for the next release date, and we're getting closer, and the game's getting delayed. All I'm going to say, it's really cool that you said May 26th of 2026, but until that game is installed in my console, I'm not getting my hopes up, because I think there's a very good chance that this game is going to get pushed back. And look, previously, the release date we had for Grand Theft Auto 6 was 2025. And as bummed as I am that Grand Theft Auto 6 won't be coming out, I'm not super surprised. You know, Rockstar is definitely at a point where they want to make this as big a game as possible. They don't want to take any big risks. Like, if it's not perfect, if there's like a speck of dust on a car, they're like, no, clean that off. We got to take that off. It has to be spotless when people get in here. And so hopefully this will be the last delay, but I wouldn't be surprised if this gets pushed back into the end of 2026. But look, I'm bummed. A lot of gamers are bummed. We were hoping that by the end of the year, we'd be playing Grand Theft Auto 6 and hanging out with our buds and just causing chaos in Vice City. But as bummed as I am, I know there are people who are thrilled that Grand Theft Auto 6 just got delayed. You know, it was reported that there's a ton of developers right now who have plans to release their games this year, but they're like, we don't want to announce our game until Grand Theft Auto 6 gets announced, because if we release our game literally the week before Grand Theft Auto 6, our sales are just going to plummet. So let's wait to see what Grand Theft Auto 6 does, and then we'll release those games. Those developers are thrilled because they're like, we can release our game this year and make money. We don't have to wait another year. So they're thrilled. Other people that are probably thrilled are the people that are in the hunt for Game of the Year, because you have some really, really good games that have released so far this year that for whatever reason, they were just going to get railroaded and just blown up for Game of the Year, because Grand Theft Auto 6, it doesn't matter what else is coming out, that will be the game of the year. But I think that the biggest group of people that are probably excited about the delay of Grand Theft Auto 6 has to be Rockstar, right? The way that the economy is going and the way that inflation is going, this delay is probably a big deal internally, because they're like, hold up, we were going to charge $120, but the way inflation's going, boys, if we push this back 12 months, we might be able to charge $200. I mean, at this point, Nintendo exclusives are like $80. So the idea that Grand Theft Auto is like, we're not going to charge $80. We're much worth, we're well worth way more than those Nintendo games. So we're going to charge $200. I think like Rockstar's internally like, we'll wait this thing out. We'll charge as much as possible. But anyway, all jokes aside, Grand Theft Auto 6 is obviously going to be the game of this generation. And I, for one, cannot wait. I mean, the trailer was great. It was awesome. We got to see Vice City. It captured the craziness of Florida, and it made me super excited to actually play this game. And I know there's people who are like, I want to see more. I want a new trailer. But Grand Theft Auto doesn't need to do more, right? They don't really need another trailer. The hype for this game is huge. I would actually go out on a limb and bet that the announcement that Rockstar just announced of delaying Grand Theft Auto 6 garnered the same amount of press and attention that the trailer did. And honestly, I mean, I'm surprised that we even got a release date at all. Rockstar is at a point with Grand Theft Auto 6 that they could shadow drop this game with no announcement and it would sell insanely well. Like, the community is just going to eat this thing up and it's going to be game of the year no matter what. But since the game has been pushed back to May 26th of 2026, it is time internally to reset the clock. The Grand Theft Auto 6 watch clock, we're turning it back because right now we are 387 days away from the release of Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, surprisingly, there wasn't a whole lot of outrage here among gamers of like the game getting delayed. Everybody was like, yeah, kind of thought it was happening. But where there was a lot of outrage this week was Nintendo. And we have to talk about this because Nintendo is facing a new round of backlash this week. But this time it has to do with their new virtual game cards, which initially, I'll admit, these sounded really cool, right? With the death of physical media being closer now than it has ever been. These new virtual cards were built as an idea of like, hey, this is how you're going to loan out your digital games to your friends for a set amount of times. Turns out, this new system closes one of the biggest loopholes of the OG Switch generation when it comes to like players sharing their games. Yeah, in case you missed it, the virtual game card update launched this week for Nintendo consoles, and it was quickly discovered that moving forward, players can no longer play a game that they bought across two devices. Which in the world of Nintendo, that's called stealing, but in the world of gamers, that's called bullshit. You see, what gamers were doing in the past was they were buying the game once, installing it on Switch 1, and then signing into their second Switch and installing it there, and then playing co-op with their kids or their wife without having to buy a second copy of the game. Which, based off that, you can understand why Nintendo wanted to switch this. They're buying one copy for two people. No, two people, two copies. How is that hard to understand? Well, now, thanks to the new virtual game card update, that is all gone. Unless you're like in offline mode, but essentially that kind of like kills the purpose of co-op, so that doesn't really matter. And ultimately, it just feels like Nintendo is just being Nintendo. Like, again, why is anybody surprised that the greatest video game company on the face of the planet is doing what they do best? Taking every hard-earned dollar out of our wallets. They want to sell as many copies as possible, and this loophole certainly prevented them from doing that in the past. So yeah, they're going to solve this, and they're going to stop gamers from doing this. But what makes this frustrating is that this is solely a Nintendo issue, because PlayStation and Xbox, they have ways to share games with other players while being online. So it's really hard to not look at this any other way than Nintendo just being like, we're gonna make as much money as possible. Now, defending a billion-dollar organization, Nintendo does have a new feature that is coming out on the Switch 2 called Game Share, which essentially does the exact same thing, right? This solves the problem that the Nintendo fans are upset about, where you can share a game that you purchased and play it with your friends and they don't have to buy a copy. The problem with that theory is that, one, it requires you to buy a Switch 2. So if you want the feature that was available on the Switch 1 for free, now you got to pony up and spend $500 to $600 in order to get that same feature that you had before for free. The second issue is it's not included with every single game, right? That new game share feature is like, it's on some games, but it's not available on all games. So there's a lot of gamers being like, dude, this new feature that you brought is a downgrade to everything that we're trying to accomplish. And it's funny because I sit here and I look at this and I'm frustrated. I see a ton of other gamers that are frustrated, and there's people who have concerns. All these people have frustrations. All these people are upset about this, but the Switch 2 is still sold like hotcakes. It's sold out across the entire globe. People are buying this thing like crazy. There's no one in the Nintendo boardroom this week that's like, maybe we should change it. No, that conversation is not happening. And it makes me feel like maybe I'm the crazy one. Maybe Nintendo just knows exactly what they're doing and they know how the orchestra should be played, and I should just shut up and play video games. But anyway, sound off in the comment section your thoughts on this one. Obviously, I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on the virtual game cards, the game share system, and if you think it's an issue, if it's not an issue, definitely let me know below. But moving on from the world of Nintendo, we are going to be talking about the world of Borderlands, because we just got 20 minutes of Borderlands 4 chaos, mayhem, and vault hunting. Yeah, Gearbox and Randy Pitchford shared this video. It was part of a PlayStation State of Play this week, which dropped out of nowhere. But what's interesting is part of this direct, they're like, this is going to be the best Borderlands ever, which is a big statement, man. Like, when you look at the history of Borderlands, I mean, these games are so freaking good. Sure, there are some that are better than the others, but out of all the Borderlands games, they're better than most of the other first-person shooter games that are out there. And the fact that they started out this state of play by being like, Borderlands 4 is going to be the best, it's like, man, I am all in. Now, this deep dive started off by showing us 2 of the new Vault Hunters. We had Vex, who's obviously the Siren. They've got like this supernatural phase energy, and they can conjure minions. Like, at one point, she had like a purple alien puma that's like fighting enemies. Looks super dope. Rafa is the other one. He's a soldier. He can digistruct weapons. It was interesting. We didn't get to see the other 2 Vault Hunters. You got Harlow, who's like the Gravatar, and Amon, who's like the Forge Knight. Would have loved to seen them as well, just to kind of see like their skills and what they're going to bring to the game. Gearbox did close it out by teasing like another gameplay event. So hopefully we'll get to see those 2 at that last event. But the game looks dope, man. If you love Borderlands, I don't know how you cannot look at this game and just get excited. Now, Borderlands 4 will be taking place on a brand new planet called Kairos, and there is so much lore built into this planet. It's been hidden for thousands of years. It's protected by synthetic robots. And all of that peace and liberty gets completely thrown into chaos when Lilith transports the moon of Elpis at the end of Borderlands 3, taking like the chaos of Pandora and just throwing it into this peaceful habitat. And the world looks beautiful. The graphics look incredible. And everything that I'm seeing from this truly makes me think that this is going to be one of the top 10 games of this year. The weapons, obviously, we can't talk about a Borderlands game without talking about weapons. We got 8 vendors this time. Some of the classics are coming back. You got Jacobs, Malawan, Vladov, Torg. But you got 3 new vendors. We got Order, we got Ripper, and we got Daedalus. Daedalus is actually cool because you can like mix the weapons or the ammo type, and you can use it across it. And they're also introducing a brand new part system. So you can fully customize your weapon to your preference. So you can take like a Malawan scope and put it on the gun, or you could take like a Ripper trigger or a Daedalus barrel and really create a gun that just meets your game style. And I think that's super cool. But it's also becoming extremely apparent that as a game that they are trying to create fandoms around these weapon companies, right? Like, I'm sure that there are players out there that are like, I only play with Jacob's weapons, or I only use Malawan, or I only use Torg. And I think that's kind of funny, because that's very much how it is like in the world today, is when people are talking about guns or weapons or anything, they've got their preference or their fandom. So it's kind of funny to see them kind of try to build that within the video game as well. A big concern that I had surrounding Borderlands 3 was like the rarity, right? Like, it was so easy to get the rare guns, and it really, there was like no specialness behind them. However, in Borderlands 4, they're kind of fixing that, because rarity is going to matter again, and legendaries will be spawning less, and it's going to create like a truly special feeling when you do get those legendary guns. Now, they did give us some other fun facts about Borderlands 4 throughout this direct, and I just kind of want to round them up real quick. Full crossplay at launch. So PC, Xbox, and PlayStation players can all play together. So big win for gamers there. The other thing that kind of piqued my interest is they said there's next to no load times. And I'm really interested in what that means, because at this point in gaming, load times are like gone, right? It's very hard to find like loading screens in open world video games. But for them to say next to no load times, I'm like, where are these load times going to be popping up? Gearbox did say that players will also have the ability to glide across the map, which I really hope they take advantage of this and put like hidden treasures and secrets and like secret locations and kind of Easter eggs, because I would love to just do nothing but just explore this new planet, gliding to places that we're not supposed to be, to find like hidden secrets on the game. Co-op is returning. Obviously, again, just like guns, you can't have a Borderlands game without co-op. One cool thing on the co-op side is you can actually tune in the campaign difficulty to the player. So if my buddy Robbie wants to play the game and he wants to play on hard, but I'm on team easy mode, my gameplay and his gameplay will not interrupt each other's. So like, I won't be facing hard bosses and he won't be facing easy bosses. It's going to be like a fine-tuned mix. I'm really interested to see how that plays out. Now, Gearbox did close us out with a big W, in my opinion, saying that there's going to be full mission and boss fight replay, which means you can go back and do your favorite missions and do your favorite boss fights as much as you want, grinding for loot. And I love this. Like, I know that Borderlands invented the looter shooter, but what I'm seeing here, just with Borderlands 4, it is giving me major Destiny 1 vibes, and I am so excited about that. Like, the grinding for the loot that nobody else has, and then jumping on with your buddies, and they're like, dude, where did you get this gun? Like, that is the greatest part about this game. Being like, I I spent 5 hours doing this mission over and over and over and finally got dropped this gun, and I'm so excited that feature's back. But unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have quite a bit of time to wait for this game to launch, as Borderlands 4 will be launching on September 12th of 2025. I can't wait. Now that Grand Theft Auto 6 has been pushed out into 2026, this could be my game of the year. This could be the one I pick up. Doom is coming, so that's going to add some interesting levels to this. I can't wait to see kind of how that game plays. But anyway, shout out to Gearbox. Can't wait to see more about this game. I for one, am super hyped. But anyway, that is it for this week's episode of the Nerf Report. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me this weekend. As always, sound off your thoughts on the stories down below. Let me know what you think about the Borderlands 4. Let me know what you think about the Nintendo story, and clearly let me know what you think about the Grand Theft Auto 6 getting delayed. As always, thank you again to the Nerf Gaming News Plus members who make this show possible, and until next time, we will see you in the next video.